Alright, here's the way I do it. I just use 4-inch T-hinges. You can actually use whatever you want. 4-inch, bigger, decorative, black. I've got one of those little hinge drill positioners. I don't know what you call it. But, oh, I was going to show you. I just take the hinge, lay it on there and fold it down. And just let it, you know, kind of find its place right there with the opposite end, fold it down. Do a little pilot hole. And then what I'll do is do all 3 of them. This one I just center up in the center here. You know, do the same thing. I'll get 1 screw in on all of them, and then I'll go back and do all the pilot holes all at one time. And when I do, I'll double check this, make sure it's, you know, square to the door, or perpendicular, or whatever you want. Now, when you do this, sometimes you're going to find that one of your nails that you put in is going to be right over the hole. So, like in this case here, I'll just move it a hair to the side of that nail, whichever works the best, and no one will ever notice that you went off center or anything like that. I don't go center here anyway so much, but rather that so it doesn't stick beyond the door, framing it so. So once I get all these in here, I'll double check this, and then I'll just go ahead and drill all my little pilot holes. Oops, thing fell out of my chuck. But anyway, you get the idea. What I'm going to do now is attach the, I guess you could call it the side trim piece of the door where the hinge gets attached. If you recall, I flipped the door. The top is up here now. So what I'll do is, this is extra long. I could pre-cut it, but I'm going to let it run out. You don't want to cut it the same length as the door. You want it to go down to the end of the siding on the shed. But what I'll do is I'll put a little, you could use a piece of angle aluminum or however you want to space it out. But you want to have a little bit of clearance right in here. You don't want that tight. The top, take something like a square and hang this board about 3/16. If you go more or less, not a big deal, but you got to shoot for something. Then I'll get one of my holes here and put in a shorter screw, not the same length of screws you used on this side. These you want it long enough till they're going to be going in and biting in good. I'm only going to put in like some 3/4 inch screws. One here, I'll check this clearance. Make sure that's where I want it. I'll only put 1 screw in. I'll come down, get my clearance on the on this one, and then go down to the bottom. Do the same thing. You can use your own method of all this prep work here. You don't have to do it the same way I do it. I'm just showing you some of the ways I've come up with. And basically, I get all 3 hinges, 1 screw with the clearance, and just a short screw on this, because when you go to put it up on your shed, you don't want these hindering you from going flush against the shed surface of the T111. So what I do then, once I'm happy with all this, don't know if you can see the clearance is pretty uniform down through there. At that point in time, I'll go ahead and do my little pilot holes on all the rest of them. Even though I'm not going to put a screw in there right now, it'll just make it easier when I get it up on the shed to throw some screws in there. Longer ones, by the way. Back to long. You could leave this one here or replace it with the long if you wanted to. But I'll get all these pre-drilled with a little pilot, and when I get it up on the shed where I want it, I can zip the screws through, and that'll hold everything in place. And then after that, I'll shoot this in with some 6D nails, 2" or 1 3/4 if that's what you have in your gun. So this is ready to go. This down here, best way to explain that is, if I can find my tape measure, is I want to cut this length here so that when the door is installed, it goes down to the same length as the corner trim. In other words, to the bottom of your T111. So you could calculate that out and just cut it. My calculations came up with 70 1/4. From the bottom of the T111 to the top of that cutout is 70 1/2. I subtracted 1/4 because the door is going to come down a little bit to give me a little, like a 3/8 inch space, but I only came down 1/4. If it comes a little past over there by 1/8 or so, isn't going to matter. And now that I know that, I'll cut my other trim piece to 70 1/4. So I'll go ahead and cut that. I'll just eyeball it. So this door is basically ready for me to put in place, even it out, so I know it can close without binding on either side. And I want to get a space on the bottom for clearance, about 3/8 of an inch. I got the clearance on the bottom. I got clearance at the top, which is what I want. I got clearance here and clearance on the right side. So I'm going to go ahead, if I can find my drill. I'll put another screw down here. And one up here. And at that point in time, you can kind of double check everything. What I'll do now is kick that little piece off at the bottom there. That little 3/8. I just put a couple short staples to hold that. Now we need door stops. Sometimes I'll put them in first, that way when you're putting the door up here, it doesn't go in on you. See right now, it hits at the bottom, which is nice. That gives you a stop down there, that overhang. We'll do a stop top here and over there to close up the gap. I got all my screws in. I replaced these center short ones and put the longer ones in. I prefer to have as much holding power as I can on this door against the shed hinge side. So I just nailed that up with some nails, and now I'm going to put my door stops in. I've got my door stops ripped, one piece ripped in half. The one way you can do it is to know where to put them is put this on edge and bring it right into the inside of your T111 right there and scribe a line down. Then when you go sideways, you can put it right on that line. I already got the top one started. My compressor was off. I didn't know it, but so I got that one all marked. I got all the sides marked. I want to put just a couple staples on each one. Got 1.5 inch staples there. In my gun, you can do what you want. Tack it in with a nail. And I got these lines right down. I'll put maybe 2 or 3 staples and bring that in. Same thing here. Put it right on my mark. And then check it as you go down, of course. Because basically, you know how this stuff is warped and everything else at the time. You rip something like that down in it. 9 times out of 10 it won't be straight. So that's the door stop. I'll put more staples in afterwards or shoot it with my gun. Now, and I got this top piece cut long because I'll cut it to fit afterwards. And I put a nail here so I can use that to kind of hold on to this piece to get my clearance here. I want it to be even across the top, and I usually just eyeball it. And also to get my clearance right here for the door to not bind. I'm going to put the latch on the door, and the type of latch I've been using for a while now, unless somebody back when I was building them wanted something, you know, more fancy looking or whatever. This is just a simple sliding mechanism, and it comes with everything you need, bolts and whatnot. I already drilled the holes to kind of speed this up. It comes with drill a 1/4 inch hole, and if you notice, these are like carriage bolts. Got the square, and it goes into that square hole there. So you put that on roughly in the position I have it. You can, of course, vary that. And if that, sometimes that moves on and you got to turn it a little bit just to get that square hole to line up. It comes with washers. Let's see if I got this camera where you can see that. Couple washers and nuts. The nuts are metric now. They used to be 7/16. Now they're number 10. The nut size here. No big deal, but anyway, all you gotta do is just tighten them up with a number 10 wrench or whatever, socket, whatever you want to use. And that's all there is to that. It comes with 2 bolts, and that's all I put in it, even though, you know, it's got these 2 holes here. I don't use them. And then it comes with this with the 2 screws. And I already lined that up the way I want it. And when you're doing it, you know, you can move it around up or down to get this hole slides in nice. Common sense, of course. So, padlock can go there. I was going to show you what I do here. Some people just turn the starter shingle upside down, but I actually cut the tabs off right here so that when you put this upside down, you got this sealing strip that seals down your tabs. if you flip the shingle upside down, you got nothing to seal it over here, down along this edge. And what I do is I put a little 3/4 piece of pine right there temporarily, so I can just line my shingles up to give me my 3/4 overhang. And as you can see, I got my drip edge already on there, and I'm ready to go. Another thing I did was on this first starter strip here, over here, I cut 6 inches off of it so that when I put my next full shingle here, you're not lining up with this groove. You want to make sure that whatever you do, if you didn't do that, then you'd have to start off with one of these cut 6 inches off. If you notice here, I did a step method. I cut these in advance, full shingle, 2.5 tabs, 2 tabs, 1.5 tabs, 1 tab, and a 6 inch. And it gives me a little step method so that when I'm just working off of a ladder like I am, I can just move it and quickly run the next. Now the next course will be all full. Nothing will be cut. Full, 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 full. As you can see, I snapped the line, but I made sure I come over 3/4. Don't come off of your fascia, or rake trim I should say. Come over 3/4, snap the line down. I usually snap it before I put the last shingle on, that way I can see this. Now, when I put my last shingle on, what I did was I lined this up and I made a little cut right there so that when I raise this up, I can hook my knife, my chalk line, and put a line on that one too. Here's a utility knife. Any utility knife will work. You can buy these hook blades, and you can trim these shingles from the, from the face side of them. I'm kind of working along here, so I don't know if I can show you how this works, but I think I would need to have somebody hold the camera. Maybe when I get down here a little lower. Alright, I cut that first one off, and you can see I'm on this second shingle. With the hook blade, it just comes down nice. The only thing I do is I put my hand up here, my left hand, and hold this so that when I come off the end here, it doesn't tear it. So I don't think I can show you that, but if I don't do that, it gets weak in that area. So if you hold this and then do that last little bit, I hold it all the way. But it cuts relatively easily with this hook knife, and saves you, saves you from pre-cutting the shingles to the exact length you think you need to have them. Now you can see how I hooked that little line in that little cut mark, and I'll just come down here somewhere and snap another line.